Good evening, all. Sara Chana, I'm so grateful for you for doing this important talk. We've been talking about moods for a long time, and I've been wanting to talk to you and learn from you and invite others to learn from you as I learn from you. So I'm really grateful for you to come on tonight and talk about this. I know you wrote the book, and there's so much in the book. You want to tell us a little bit about the book and the work that you do before we jump into our topic tonight of taming the moods?
Sure. Thank you so much, Devora. This is great that you're doing this. So my name is Sara Chana Silverstein. I'm a proud mother of 7 children. I'm also a lactation consultant. I've had the honor of helping over 45,000 babies breastfeed. I studied to be a doula, delivered 469 babies, went back to school again and did a 5-year class on classical homeopathy and a 3-year program on herbalism. I'm the only from master herbalist in the United States, and I guest lecture at different medical schools, and I do TV segments for NBC, CBS, and Fox News, teaching people how to integrate alternative medicine with conventional medicine, and especially botanical herb medicine. I'm also the author of this book, Moodtopia, which is on the screen, which is really exciting. And there's a lot of information in this book about moods and botanical medicine. So women have been moody for the past 5,700 years. This is nothing new. And the question is, what do we do with this? How can we keep our emotions stable in this complete world of chaos? And that's what we're going to be discussing today. And also we're going to delve slightly into some of the health challenges that we have as we slightly age, anybody that's slightly over 40, different physical ailments and concerns will come up. So should we jump into Devora? Anything
Yes,
else?
I'm really excited. Yes. So
Okay,
this is just to
excellent.
reiterate, this is specifically talking to midlife, but I imagine some of it is relevant to others, but most of it is focused to the midlife 40 plus, right?
Yeah, so if you still have teenagers, you'll also notice that this applies to teenagers. And if you still have little kids at home, it also applies to them.
Right.
Okay. So perimenopause and menopause, today we're mostly going to be talking about the emotional challenges, but it is a time of change. A lot of women, and perimenopause can come 10 years before menopause. So if your family menopause is around 51 to 53, then by 41 to 43, you're already in the perimenopause. During the perimenopause time, your cycles can change. They can be more frequent, less frequent. They can be shorter, they can be longer, they can have cramping or no cramping, but things will begin to change. A lot of people really say for the better, but there are challenges of foggy brain, memory challenges, mood swings. Women will occasionally just cry out of the blue or be more passionate about things, take things more seriously. But then as your children age, as long as you're involved with either the community or work or activities or an art form or reading more, you'll also find it's a time of independence, freedom, and very often following lost dreams that you could never do when you were busy with little kids at home. So I want to begin, and this is one of my favorite statements, is that it's totally normal to feel not normal, meaning it's okay to feel a little crazy, a little overwhelmed, wanting to cry, wanting to scream. This is a normal behavior. When I give this workshop for women after they give birth, I say, a lot of people feel crazy after they give birth. It's best to accept these emotions, learn from them, and honor them. It doesn't really mean you're going crazy. It means that something's irritating going on around you. There's something you haven't said for many years that you want to say. Maybe you've held it back with one of your kids, and all of a sudden you get to this point past 40 where you're like, okay, I'm ready to say what I haven't had the guts to say all these years. So when I wrote my book, Moodtopia, my husband actually came up with the name with me. And then the question was, what the heck is Moodtopia? It's really a made-up word. So I like to say that Moodtopia is staying in control of your moods so your moods don't control you. It's a question of not being hijacked by your loneliness, sadness, insecurity, frustration, anger. You want to experience them, learn from them, and move on. Just like we have people that are masters at making kugel, masters at making challah, masters at decorating cakes, masters at, so many other things. We want to become a master of our moods. We want to use them when we need them and not use them and not have to use them when we don't think they're going to be appropriate. So I always like to tell this story here very quickly. I come from Los Angeles, California, and we lived in the Hollywood Hills, and my mother would drive us into the city in carpool every morning. There was this one corner where there was a near accident every single morning. There were two crazy streets that would come together. And my mother was like, this is ridiculous. And her joke was, well, we didn't get killed today. And then she started getting frustrated. And then she started getting really, really angry. And what she did was she called the city and said, we need a stop sign on this corner. And this was way before Instagram and Facebook. And they said, okay, no problem. What I need you to do is go get 1,000 signatures. If you get 1,000 signatures, we will put a stop sign here. So my mother took her anger, went door by door, and she got that 1,000 signatures. And to this day, there is a stop sign on that corner. So you can see that what you may experience as frustration. I'm frustrated by almost getting hit every day. Anger, it's not fair. Why isn't the city doing something about it? But that anger gave you the impetus to take control and do something. So that's why I say all these emotions that are coming up are there to get us to our next stage in life. So in this beginning part of the lecture, at least, our goal is to drop our cortisol levels. What does that mean? That means that, and I'm making up a number, so if there's a doctor in the audience, you can give us the exact numbers. But if Sara Chana is going to lose it, when her cortisol, stress hormone, goes up to 300, if I'm living at 295 all the time, the littlest things are going to get me to my 300, my freak out point. So I need to constantly drop my numbers down. I need to drop them down so I'm living at like 150, because I'm never going to get to 0 or 20, right? I want to drop it down to 150. So when things happen in life, boom, I can go up and come down. Boom, I'm still calm. Boom, I've kept it together. I don't want to be at that near breaking point all the time. So it's during your calm times that you need to work on lowering your cortisol levels, not in the heat of a moment. That's when we're taking walks. That's when we're learning to breathe. That's when we're learning to meditate. That's when we're going to get a massage. That's when we're going out to lunch with a very good friend. You have to work to lower your cortisol levels. All right. So we're on a constant challenge. We're on a constant journey of lowering our cortisol levels. Now, here's the really sad truth. If your mother had high cortisol levels during her pregnancy, you will be born with a default number that's higher than if your mom was calm and living on a farm and meditating, right? So someone like me with my Ashkenazi background, my cortisol levels were high from the second I was born. And here's the really hard part. I didn't only live in my mother's stomach, we all lived in our grandmother's stomach, because when your mother was living inside her grandmother, her mother, your grandmother, all the little eggs that she was ever going to have in her life was developed when she was in the womb. So that means if your mother was a nervous wreck and your grandmother was a nervous wreck, you really have to work to lower your cortisol levels. So don't feel nervous if you were nervous during your pregnancies. It's just a fact. It just means that we need to, during our calm times, lower our cortisol levels, and we can do it. So stress is everywhere. Stress, it's normal, especially if we're living in modern day 2022. We can pick up stress from people around us. One of my favorite doctors talks about energy vampires, those people that call you on the phone, ask your opinion, ask your feeling on things, and guess what? They never take your advice. They suck out all your energy and move on with their lives. So we need to learn how to make a shield around us. So if we're around stressful people, their energy can bounce right off us. And then if we're with a newborn baby that's not colically, we can open up our shield and let our love come out. We also need to learn who makes us feel good and who makes us feel stressed and angry. And it's very important. If you have a mother-in-law or a cousin or someone who just makes you a nervous wreck, but you need to be around them, you need to intellectually say, when I'm around this person, my cortisol levels rise. What am I going to do before? Maybe you're going to drink a tea. We're going to be talking about herbal medicine soon, but you need to be very alerted, very aware to who makes you nervous, who makes you overwhelmed, which, I always talk, especially coming from LA, if there's a gas station very close to my house, but it always makes me nervous. There's always a long line. Maybe the person that puts in the gas is not so nice. Now everything's self-serve, but it used to be. It's worth driving 10 blocks out of the way to go to a really calm place. If the pharmacy down the street from you is really convenient, but 5 minutes away has nicer workers, that's very important because that's how we lower our cortisol levels. So there is some really good stress in the world. And Dr. Robert Sapolsky, one of my mentors and my teachers, talks about, we love stress. We go on roller coasters. When we're traveling, we don't pack till the night before. There is a rush of adrenaline. We do get adrenaline is another hormone chemical in our body that makes us feel good. People that jump out of planes, kids are the first ones to, go on the top of a slide and make us nervous. Hey, don't fall. They're like, this is the best place to be. So we do love stress induction in our lives. We like these cortisol levels and these adrenaline rushes, but they need to be occasionally. They need to be decided upon and put in your life, not like driving on the freeway or showing up late to every simcha that we go to. So stress is okay in small amounts, just not on a daily basis. So if we have too much stress in our lives, we can get anxiety, depression, digestive problems, headaches, heart disease, sleep problems, weight gain, memory, and concentration. So again, we're going to be stressed before our child's bar mitzvah or before a wedding or before an upturn. But how do we keep ourselves calmer in the moments that the stress is not going to help us? So one of the interesting things is there's something called RAK, which is random acts of kindness. Very interesting. The Lubavitcher Rebbe spoke about it, and I was a young girl going, yeah, really? Random acts of kindness is going to bring world peace? I don't think so. And I decided to look into it. And clinical studies show that when you do random acts of kindness, naturally your blood pressure lowers down. Clinical studies also show that people that do random acts of kindness live longer, have better marriages, and stay calmer in their life. So if you hold the door open for someone, you are helping that person with the stroller, but believe it or not, you're getting the benefit to it. So this doesn't cost any money. No one's selling you anything, but include random acts of kindness into your life on a regular basis. And if you wake up in a really crappy mood, everything's going wrong, you are not having a good day, no problem. Just go out there and do random acts of kindness. And before you know it, your mood will improve. So just do nice things. You don't have to be in a good mood to do nice things. And the other person that you're doing nice things for do not care what your day is like. They'll be so appreciative. You'll be doing a huge mitzvah and your blood pressure will be lowered. Your cortisol levels will be lowered. So if you're going through a super stressful time in your life, just take on random acts of kindness. So I want to tell you about this amazing experiment, and this is a true one. They did this at many different universities, and no matter how many times they do this experiment, it always comes out the same way. So they took a pen. This was on a university campus, and they recruited about 400 different participants, kids of different cultures, ages, and backgrounds. And they asked them to put a pen in their mouth. And they had them rate comics. About a week later, they had the same group of people come back, take a pen and put it in their mouth like this and rate the comics. And what they found, which was astounding, was that when people put on a fake smile, they rated the comics as being funnier. And when they put on a fake frown, they rated the comics as being less funny. So the researchers were like, wait a minute, what is this? So if we just fake it, we just kind of fake our smile, even if we're in a horrible mood, our cortisol levels go down and we perceive the world in a better place. So the question is, should we just smile? Should we fake it? And the answer is yes. So here's the story. When I'm going through New York and I just fake smile at people, even if I'm not in a great mood, they're like, oh my gosh, she's probably a pickpocket. She's probably going to steal from me, right? And when I'm in LA and I do my fake smiles, people are like, oh my gosh, look at Sara Chana. She got plastic surgery just like me. Anyways, so what's the lesson from this? The lesson is that when a kid comes home from school, even if you had a horrible day, if you crack a smile, they're going to just feel better. If you're at your work and you had a really hard day, nothing's going well, just randomly smile at people, because what happens is your smiling changes the chemistry in your brain. So laughter, there's a book written by this MD back in, I wish I had the book in front of me. It was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And he says, what is this peculiar behavior of human beings? They see something, their diaphragm starts bumping up and down. They must be doing some kind of internal massage that massages the stomach, the uterus, the intestines. He says, it's so peculiar, but all my patients feel better after they laugh. So he said there has to be something to laughter besides the internal massage. And studies show that when people laugh, it makes you feel better, even if you're having a hard day. So random acts of kindness, smiling, forcing a smile. And I joke to my clients, when you have a list, it should be pick up the dry cleaning, buy fish, don't forget to pay the bills, laugh, change the sheets. You should really have in your schedule that you laugh. And if it's watching something funny, listening to a comedian who's not that funny but makes you laugh, it should be on your list of to-do things. So colors can also make you feel good. Colors have energy. They actually vibrate. That's how we see them. The way we see them is the vibrational pattern of the color. It goes into our brain. So if you're in a boring office that's not exciting, you can paint one of the walls, or even put up just one day you have red up, one day you have yellow up. You can literally in your bathroom just put a square paper of this color, and every time you look at that color, you're going to feel better. If you're going through a hard time in life, spend some money, not a lot, buy a new pillowcase just to get in bed and see that turquoise or that fuchsia can make you feel more invigorated. You can try different colors on your lips. You can try different nail polish colors. Bringing color intentionally into your life can help with stress and moodiness, especially when we're going through our slight life changes between 40 and 120, right? So it's very interesting because in the 1940s in America, they had, during the Depression, I don't have any in front of me, but they had what was called Depression glass. The Depression glass, you'll find it, it's beautiful. Green, reds, and blues became very popular. Clear glass was not the in thing to have. And studies looking back showed that when you didn't have enough food during the Depression, to have your soup in a blue colored bowl just made the food more exciting. If you didn't have anything but water, not filtered water, and you had it in a green cup, it would make you feel better. So we know throughout years and generations that colors make an impact. They say that after the 1950s, there was the Depression in the 30s to 40s. And then after that was the 1950s, where everyone was kind of square in the box, their little cashmere sweaters with skirts, quite plain colors. And then the 1960s were vibrant colors. Everyone was exploding. The hippie movement, everything was experience, feel what's going on. After that, people said, okay, this is a bit too much. We see that the hippie movement is not really doing what it needs to. And if you look at the fashion colors in the early 70s, before the disco age, they were back to beiges and browns, getting back to the ground, getting back to nature after the wild 60s. So in the fashion industry, also colors come and go, and a lot has to do with what's going on with the economics, and people will be drawn to them in different stages and times in their life. So back to what you can do simply. You can get some glass. You can get a yellow glass, you can get a blue glass, a green glass. It will bring some joy to your life. And even in the winter, if you're on the East Coast like we are, wearing these black jackets because it's freezing cold, you can just put like a bright orange scarf on, and every time you look in the mirror, you're going to feel a little bit better. I'd like to discuss this more in the future at other workshops, but there's something called 360 awareness that is very important as we age. So what a lot of us find as our brain is getting a tiny bit foggier, just a little bit less sharp, you need to sharpen it. So spies learn about 360 awareness. When you come in a room, don't be in a fog like, oh, thank God I got to the dentist. Oh my gosh, I couldn't find parking. Oh my gosh, I thought I had a flat tire. You don't even remember driving there. But when you come in the room, this will sharpen your brain to say, how many windows? How many doors? What color are the walls? Look up at the ceiling. What color is the floor? What color is the floor? How many chairs are you around us? So 360 awareness takes us out of our emotional head, being overwhelmed, depressed, sad, or frustrated by things in life, and it makes our brain sharp to notice things. So if you take a moment everywhere you go into a grocery store, you go into a clothing store, make sure you do a 360 span, and you will see that your memory and your brain fog will begin to dissipate. I just did a workshop on brain health, which is phenomenal, and I'm just going to have 1 or 2 slides on it. Our brain is made up. There's a question of whether it's 60 or 70%. So we in America had this low-fat diet for a very long time, but good oils like fish oil, avocado oil, evening primrose oil, borage oil, almond oil, these fats are going to help our brain stay sharp. So if you look at the brain to the left, you can see that that's a normal brain. The brain to the right is an Alzheimer's brain. An Alzheimer's brain, they're not exactly sure the degeneration. One of the recent thoughts is because it's those bad fats from eating at, fast food places, deep fried foods. So I think there should be a movement coming back, and there is, to eat oils. Like I try to take flaxseed oil, and I'll just take a tablespoon of it and down it, because good oils help your brain be sharp and it helps you concentrate better. So here's just some more fats. We've got salmon fish oil, cod liver oil. Our grandparents were right. Chia seeds have good oils in them, flax seeds, evening primrose oils. Add oils, and especially olive oil, to your foods. So as we age slightly, right, it's very important to keep our blood thin. That's a lot of onions and garlics, spices. Anytime you eat, put in a little paprika, a little turmeric, a little parsley. Any of these spices will help thin the blood. You can put in cilantro, you can put in dill. This is great to help our blood stay thin and move throughout our body. In Chinese medicine, whenever we have stuck energy, disease kicks in. So if you have too much mucus in your sinuses, you get a sinus infection. If you have too much in your intestines and you're constipated, you're going to not feel well. So in Chinese medicine and alternative medicine, we're very into keeping the blood flow, and we want it to be thin and move. Heart health is very important. We should start thinking about our heart when we hit age 40. We can have another talk on this too, because there's a whole discussion on heart health. But for sure, you want to make sure that you're exercising. Even if you're sitting at a desk all day, get up, move your arms, move your shoulders, keep that blood flowing. Yes, it would be great to go to a dance class. Whenever you go to a simcha, make sure you're dancing. Even if you're dancing in your chair, move your blood around. Clinical studies show that if you wake up in the morning and have a big cup of water, it's also going to help start moving. You want to move the stomach, move the intestines, get that digestion going in the morning, minimize your alcohol use, and talk to a mentor about the emotional and physical challenges you're having, because it is true that we feel all this in our heart. So balancing our blood sugar levels, that's also very important. If you're pre-diabetic or you have family members that are diabetic, taking a capsule or two of cinnamon, you could buy cinnamon in capsules once in the morning or once in the evening. Clinical studies show that it lowers blood pressure, and it also helps balance our blood sugar levels. So we don't have to wait until we're diabetic. Oh my gosh, why do we have to jump to there? We can just start anytime we can, taking some cinnamon in capsules. If you're really a little bit closer to that diabetic, I like an herb, or it's really a fruit called bitter melon, which we can also get in capsules. So we don't want to wait for high blood pressure. We don't want to wait for our blood sugar levels to go up too high. We want to be lowering our cortisol levels, speaking to a mentor about what's going on emotionally, laughing, smiling, doing random acts of kindness, and taking some cinnamon, taking some bitter melon. These things will help us stay fresh in our minds, have less brain fog. So I'm a master herbalist, and herbs are starting to become all the rage, but herbs have been around for a very long time. We have at least a 5,000-year history of it. 75% of the world's population are primarily using traditional herbs. So why aren't herbs so popular in America? That is a long discussion. One of the things is that when we take pharmaceuticals, and I'm not against pharmaceuticals, they save lives, but when you take a blood pressure medicine, they have no plans of getting you off. It's not like take this blood pressure medicine for the next 8 weeks and let's reevaluate. When it comes to statins for cholesterol, our society, our medical outlook is just take the statins for the rest of your life. So we see in clinical studies that people that take statins end up having the same amount of heart attacks, because if you don't change your lifestyle with high cholesterol, which is another discussion, then it's going to stay where it is, even if the numbers come down. So this is not a culture where we're doing preventative medicine, although we can all change that. So herbs have a really strong Jewish heritage. You know, when we went to the land of Israel, it was a barren desert. And I just read an amazing book about the Jews that came over from the Arabic countries, that came over from Eastern Europe. And literally it was sand. And they turned this sand into amazing gardens. Now we have one of the best agricultures in the world. And it's just part of so many of our cultures, especially Sukkot. It says in Tehillim that Hashem, God, gave grass to the cattle and herbs for the service of man. And the word there is service. So Hashem, God, gave plants to animals and herbs to us. It also says that God put the refuah, the healing in the world, before the illness. And he created plants and trees before man. Look at that. On day 3, there was already plants. And so that means that before we were created, before humans were created, the refuah was here. So I feel it's in the plants, trees, flowers, twigs. Also during Havdalah, we every single week breathe in bisamim, which is a form of an essential oil, and it actually gives us a boost to our neshama and our being. So inside the Beis Hamikdash, we gave incense offerings, and incense offerings were frankincense, saffron, cinnamon. These are herbs that all have medicinal properties, and it was right there in the holiest spot for us. So these are one of the reasons that I really know that this is an important part of our lives. And again, back to Israel, we turned the desert into agriculture. And not many countries that are a barren desert have the agriculture. It's in our nature. It's in our nature. They say that as the Jews were leaving Yemen, was it Yemen? Where was it? They would actually put their hands, the women, in the dirt, pick up the plant by the root and put it in their pockets because they didn't know what plants were going to be in their new land of Israel, and they wanted to make sure that they had their medicinal plants. So you can drink herbs in tea form. I tend to like them best in tincture. We're going to talk about it. So I bought this great little glass bottle on Amazon. It's got this little filter on the bottom. I like it with the filter on the bottom. You can get them for $10. You can fill up this filter with an herb. Put some honey if you want in it, pour boiling water, and you can carry this in your car, in your backpack, on your desk at work. And besides drinking water, drinking some herbal tea will help with brain fog, heart health, and everything. I also bought this gorgeous, and I love this teapot. And I've got an herb in here called hibiscus, which is specific for high blood pressure. And inside, hold on, let me lift this for you. Inside this glass jar is a filter, and this filter, I just put the herbs in there, let it sit, and then I throw away the herbs. So it's very,
fresh herbs?
These are for fresh dried herbs. Yeah, we're going to get into it right now. Thank you. So the herbs, I have different herbs here, which we're going to talk about the herbs in a moment. Excuse me. So here I have 3 different herbs. I've got some lavender, which you can see the beautiful purple color. I have some marshmallow, and I have some calendula. And you can just take the fresh plant. You can buy herbs for very little money on Amazon these days, unbelievably. And these herbs are amazing. And you can make different combinations of teas, which we're going to get into in a minute. Sometimes if you have a problem and you work with an herbalist, we may want you to infuse the tea for even longer. So some of our roots and other plants, we will pour it in a glass jar like this, pour boiling water over it, let it sit for 2 or 3 days, and then strain it. But generally, I like herbs best in tincture form. Most of my clients are either from New York or LA, type A personalities, overwhelmed, underpaid, overworked, and really need to do things very quick and fast. So you can get herbs, which we're going to talk about now, in tincture form. And I'm going to tell you what a tincture is in a minute, but here's what it looks like. I've got a dropper and it's filled with a liquid. Okay. So how do we make herbs? What's the question? Here, let me show you this one. So watch. So what we do is, and this is what Jewish women have been doing for 5,700 years. This is how we make medicine. We pick the plants because plants, okay, we put the plants in a glass jar and we put grain alcohol over them. And the grain alcohol will break down the constitution or the vitamins and minerals in the plant. We will then keep it there for 6 to 8 weeks. Then we strain it and we have medicine. So why do we have to put our plants in grain alcohol? And the answer is like this. If you buy some fresh cilantro and put it in your fridge for a week, it gets floppy. It turns yellow, it turns white. The constitution of it breaks down. But if I take that cilantro and put it in a glass jar and put grain alcohol over it, I can capture all the vitamins and nutrients before they start to disintegrate. Tinctures have a 10-year shelf life. This is not what pharmaceutical companies want us to know. They do not want to know that we have a medicine that can last 10 years. So as Jewish women, we had plants that grew in the spring, some plants in the fall, some plants in the winter, and some plants in the summer. So as an herbalist, I couldn't have, if all my plants grew in the spring, I would have no life. I would never be able to make Shabbos. I would never be able to take care of my kids. I'd be running around like a maniac. So let's say we get 15 plants in the spring, 15 plants in the winter, 15 plants in the summer. And what happens is we will take the plants, put them in grain alcohol, and we have these tinctures that have a 10-year shelf life. And they're very, very easy to take. You literally can get a bottle like this, put it in your bra strap. You can keep it in a back pocket. You can keep it in your purse. And when I travel, I always have some herbs with me because I'm around people that are sick all the time. When you're on an airplane for 10 hours, you're going to be breathing in that recycled air. So I'll take some immune herbs. If I'm traveling, I love traveling. It's not stressful, but you have to go through security, and we were masking for a long time. So then I would take anti-anxiety herbs. Okay. So anyone can learn to make a tincture. At first, when you're starting with herbs, I recommend that you buy ones that are pre-made, because master herbalists know how to identify the plant. We check them for lead. We check them for pesticides. So I would buy a pre-made one. But when you get a little more into herbs, you can grow on your fire escape lemon balm. You can grow lavender. You can grow cilantro or parsley, and you can learn how to make it into your own medicine. Now, we forgot to mention, Devora, in the beginning, that if anybody has questions, please put the questions in the chat box, and we will get to them at the end as your question comes out. And for people who are listening to this at a future date, we're going to be sending out the recording. I'm hoping Devora doesn't mind, but maybe we can email her questions if they come up. So we do, yes, because we do want to have this interactive, and we want you guys to ask questions, be thoughtful about this, have some new insights. Okay, these are the 3 companies on the bottom there that I recommend. I do not represent them. One of them is Herb Farm, which is in this blue and orange. And this is Herbalist and Alchemist. This is the company I work with most, and it does have a kosher sign on it. It has a hechsher. And then the other company I like, I don't have an example here. Oh, yes, I do. Here is one called Wish Garden Herbs. These are the herbs that you can buy easily on Amazon. They are safe, and I know that they all have master herbalists working with them, so you're going to get top quality plants. So again, here's the question that we asked before. Why aren't there double-blind clinical studies on herbs? And I'm going to tell you a really interesting story. So it was about 10 years ago, and pre-COVID, so I was doing a lot of live events, and I was teaching everywhere. And all of a sudden, this study came out that said echinacea, which is a plant for your immune system, does not help prevent colds. Yes, it does. It does not shorten the duration of colds, and basically, it doesn't help with anything. So I was really frustrated. And here was a study coming out of Harvard University. I mean, oh my gosh, it's Harvard. So as an herbalist, I did some research. And what did I find? I found that it wasn't Harvard that did the study. Another company rented out Harvard lab, because that's how Harvard makes money. What did I find out? I found out that it was a pharmaceutical company that set up the study. And with the study, they gave everybody the same dosage of herbs. That means that a 5'10" guy and a 4'11" guy, a woman that's obese and a woman that's microscopically thin, they need different dosages. And in the study, they gave the herbs in pill form. And I, as an herbalist, know that you need to do it either in tea form or tincture. And they told the people in the study that they could take Tylenol, Advil, Claritin at the same time. So basically, this clinical study was a bogus study. It was on CNN, it was on Fox News, it was everywhere. Because what happened? We were getting antibiotic resistance infections like MRSA. MRSA is an antibiotic resistant infection. Kids were getting a lot of chronic ear infections, getting a lot of yeast infections, and antibiotics started to get really a bad reputation. Although I will say that there's a time and place for antibiotics, and if you need them, you should take them. But for an ear infection, for a lot of bladder infections, you can really treat them naturally. So the pharmaceutical company panicked, spent all this money on a double-blind clinical study to show us that herbs don't work. So here's why we don't have any clinical studies. Herbalists don't have $2.3 million to invest in these clinical studies. You have to rent a lab. You have to pay people to be in the studies. You have to pay scientists to analyze it. And that's one of the problems we have in America. Pharmaceutical companies have more money than herbalists, and that's why we're missing the clinical studies. Hold on, my plug for my computer just went out. I want to make sure that we do not lose each other. Hold on. There we go. Okay, perfect. Anyways, that's one of the reasons. So if any of you guys are multimillionaires and you would like to finance a double-blind clinical study on herbs, let me know and we can pull it together. So we're going to be talking about individual herbs, but I want to tell you when you listen to these herbs that herbs work better in unison, because if you have a saxophone, it's great, but you add a keyboard to it and some drums, the symbiotic relationship of those instruments work even better. So the same thing here. People are very complicated. I can be nervous, overwhelmed, and sleep deprived. The next day I could be sad, frustrated, and angry. The next day I could be happy, but exhausted. So people are complicated, and that's why I tend to use anywhere from 3 to 8 herbs together. So let's begin with one of my favorite herbs. This is an herb called motherwort. This herb I would suggest in tincture form. This herb is for sadness and gloominess. You can take this before your cycle, during your cycle, or after your cycle. You can take this when your cycles have gone wacko. And the bottom line is, once you've stopped having your period, you can still take motherwort. So anytime life is like looking good, it's going well, you like your life, but you know what? You just feel grumpy. You just feel gloomy. You feel dark. Motherwort can help lift your spirit and dispel the darkness. Can you use this with teenagers? Absolutely. And you can also give this to husbands when they go through their guy menopause, because it's a real thing and they can also get grumpy and gloomy. Yes, Devora.
So if I think that I need to take motherwort and I take it and it's not really what I could have used, is there any harm in taking the wrong herb?
No, the herbs that I'm talking now, motherwort is in the mint family. There's no bad side effects to it. It just won't change what you're going through. It won't be that assistant, that great, wonderful assistant. It's just not going to do it. But it's not dangerous. There are some dangerous plants out there, but people don't sell them. They're not on the market and they're hard to get. So skullcap is my second favorite herb. Maybe it's my first favorite. I love them all. Skullcap is also in the mint family. Look at the gorgeous purple flowers. I want to point out that motherwort has a more pink flower and skullcap is a more purple flower. Skullcap is for nervous energy. I'm nervous. I'm going on a plane. I want to get to the next destination, but I'm nervous. I'm making a wedding. This chasana is coming up and I feel like I'm 10 pounds overweight and I'm so nervous to show up. You're meeting your in-laws for the first time. Your kids, your son's in-laws for the first time. Whatever it is, there's a bris. You can take skullcap. Within 20 minutes, you'll feel it and it will just calm you down without sedating you. It will not make you feel sleepy. It will just calm you down. So the question is, can you feel gloomy and nervous at the same time? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. So you can mix motherwort and skullcap in the same cup. Lemon balm.
Another question to that.
Yes.
So if we're taking motherwort and skullcap, then I don't know how many drops we need, per, maybe it goes by weight, that's sort of alluded to before, but am I taking, let's say, according to my weight, I need like 4 drops or so. I'm just totally making stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. So
It's 25 to 35 drops. Go ahead. Yes.
okay. So if I'm taking the 30 drops, so I take like 30 of each, and then the
Yes.
flavor gets even more intense, I imagine.
Yes. Yes.
Or 2 cups.
Yes. So these I would take, skullcap and motherwort, I would take in tincture form. And you take a shot glass like this, put in a little bit of grape juice. When you pull up a dropper, I pull it up once. The dropper is, hold on one second, the dropper is about 25 drops. So when I pull this up once, this is 25 drops. So I shoot it in the cup. So I would take 1/2 dropper full of skullcap, 1/2 dropper full of the motherwort, and I would put it in the same cup, make a l'chaim, down it like vodka. The reason I like tinctures is because it's very quick. You can get it in your system very quickly. And with the small amount of alcohol in it, it goes into your bloodstream quickly. So that's a great question. So again, a bigger person may need 40 drops of each. A smaller person might need 15 drops of each. So even if you took 75 drops of it, these herbs are not dangerous. You just need to find which works for you. That's why it's best to work with an herbalist if you can. If not, you can always read my book, Moodtopia, which is available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, all over the internet, because I go herb by herb, and you can't really make mistakes because it's kind of like I'm making a new salad dressing. Oh, darn, I put a little too much onion powder in it. So what? Oh my gosh, I forgot the pepper. So what? You see what I'm saying? All these herbs are in the food family. So a little more, a little less is not dangerous, and a little more may make you feel better, and a little less may not, or sometimes a little less even works. So good question. So lemon balm is an herb that everybody can grow on their fire escape in New York, on their porch in California, and inside their house on the windowsill if it's very, very cold. Lemon balm is great for kids, great for geriatrics. It's calming and soothing. It's antiviral. So a lot of my clients that fly from here to Israel or here to very long trips, what they really love is they love to take some lemon balm. They'll take a little bottle like this of lemon balm, give it to the kids on the way to the airport, give it to the kids after they go through security, and give it to the kids when they sit in the plane. Those kids are going to fight a little bit less. They're going to be less likely to pick up a virus if someone is sneezing or coughing next to them. It's an amazing herb. This is an herb that's delicious in tea. Motherwort and skullcap are not delicious teas. Lemon balm tea, they have lemon balm essential oil. I just burnt it in my office yesterday. Lemon balm tea is delicious, and we can also make it into ice pops for kids when they have fevers. So you can make a lemon balm tea, add a little honey if the children are over 1 year old, make it into little ice packs, a little ice pops, and you'll be the best bubby in the entire world, or softa. Because if a kid's not feeling well and they have a yummy lemony honey ice, they're going to love it, and it will help if they have a virus. So linden is another herb, delicious in tea form. You can also take lemon balm and linden in tincture. Linden trees are gorgeous. If you're ever by a linden tree when it's blooming, it is one of the most fragrant flowers that I've ever smelled. I mean, it's a 10 on a scale of 1 to 2. It's gorgeous. Linden tea in France is given all the time after you have heavy, creamy meals. You'll get a linden tea served to you because it helps with digestion. It's calming and soothing, and it's specific for heart pain. So people that are going through hard times, a divorce, the loss of a loved one, linden tea is a phenomenal tea because it really has medicinal benefits for the heart. So you could put lemon balm and linden in a tea, and you could serve it after a meal, and your guests are going to love it. I always on Shabbos make a different tea combination, and people are excited to taste it. Wow, what's it this week? What does it taste like? Some weeks they say, whoa, that's delicious. And other weeks they're like, not my combination. I'm like, okay, no problem. So valerian is one of the most commonly used herbs in Russia and the Eastern Bloc. There's a lot of clinical double-blind studies in Europe on valerian. It is specifically helpful for blood type O's. It can make blood type A's a little bit sleepy. With blood type O's, valerian is phenomenal because what it does is it calms the central nervous system. It's good for panic attacks. It can help you sleep without feeling groggy the next day. So the reason I mentioned that it doesn't necessarily make you feel sleepy is because a lot of blood type O's like to take valerian 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and before they go to bed. Some A's find it that it sedates them too much in the morning, but they'll definitely enjoy the valerian before they go to bed. Now, valerian tastes horrible. You do not make valerian into tea. It is disgusting. Although what's really interesting is people that need it say that it's the most delicious smelling herb they've ever smelled. For most people, it smells like dirty socks, but it's worth taking because it's powerful. And for some people, it can literally change their lives. A lot of clients that feel like, I think I need a psychotropic drug, but I don't want to take a psychotropic drug, but I feel like I need one. They take valerian and they're like, okay, this is perfect. I'm doing great. Fresh milky oats is a nice tasting tea, but you got to add either linden or lemon balm. I tend to use this in tincture form. This repairs the central nervous system. Now, the other herbs that I discussed, you will feel. You feel the linden calming. You feel the lemon balm. You feel the, what else did we talk about? We spoke about skullcap and motherwort. Fresh milky oats, you just kind of add it. It's slow acting, but they say a person that's been living burning the candle at both sides, when they take it, it rejuvenates their body. It can help when you're exhausted during pregnancies. It works when you're burnt out emotionally or physically. After an illness, this is a good herb to take, and it rejuvenates the system. You don't feel it. You kind of just have to know that this is going to help you. So I tend to add this into a mix rather than giving it separately. Now, passion flower is a phenomenal herb. Look at how gorgeous this flower is. It's stunning and insanely looking like an alien from outer space. They grow all over the place. And what passion flower is famous for is helping you sleep. It's safe when you're pregnant. It's safe with other medications. And passion flower, I mean, you should always check with an herbalist who don't know which medicines you're taking, but generally 99% of the time, passion flower is safe. And passion flower will help you sleep also without making you feel sedated in the morning. If you need passion flower to help you sleep, you can't take it like at 10 to 2 when you need to be up at 6 and you only have a couple hours to sleep. It doesn't work immediately like that. None of these plants do. But if you're having trouble sleeping, I would take some passion flower, maybe mix it with valerian around dinner time. And then I would take it again an hour before you want to go to bed. So if you really want to go to bed by midnight, I'd get this in your system by 10:30, 11, because herbs integrate in your body. The brain reads herbs as food, takes what it needs and dispels what it doesn't. So it's not instant like pharmaceuticals. Rhodiola is a great herb. If you feel like you're a couch potato, you feel like you don't want to do anything, you get depressed, you have no energy, you're like, the world can pass me by and I'm just sitting here like this because I don't want to move, right? We all get in those spaces. Rhodiola has a boost, gives you energy, not like a caffeine boost where you crash afterwards. In Russia and China, they use this plant for athletes, competitive athletes, because it gives you energy without making you feel frazzled and nervous like caffeine. I wouldn't take rhodiola past 6 o'clock in the evening, especially if you struggle with sleep, because it does have a zest. It's got a beautiful yellow flower. Did I have the other flowers? Linden flowers are white to yellow, and lemon balm are also white to yellow. So now we're going to the yellow flowers. Rhodiola in clinical studies can stop people from having depression. So again, if you're almost to that point where you need pharmaceuticals, or you've been on pharmaceuticals a long time and it hasn't quite done it for you, rhodiola, integrating it into your life in tincture form, not tea form, is an amazing idea. So I must talk about rose. Rose is amazing. People don't understand the medicinal properties of roses. Rose has become our most popular herb to give to people that are in a hospital. You give it to a loved one because it really helps people's hearts feel better. But what's amazing is when you take it internally, it helps with broken hearts. Really broken hearts. It also helps with broken blood vessels. So sometimes people will take rose essential oil, very expensive, worth every penny. You put a drop or two in with your cream and apply it to your face, and it will help if you have any broken veins, broken capillaries. Inside, when we are brokenhearted, emotionally, going through hard times, we can break little capillaries, and this heals the heart. So if you have a friend who's a caretaker and has a loved one that they're taking care of, and they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they're not doing what they need to, you can give them some rose tea or tincture. This is a delicious tasting tea, and or you can use it in a tincture form. Lavender, we know about lavender oil, lavender essential oil. You can put a couple drops on your pillow on the right side, and the left side, you roll over. Breathe in lavender, put your head this way, breathe in lavender. In clinical studies, it does help with sleep. So at dinner time, you could take some valerian with some passion flower, breathe in some lavender. And again, if you want to go to bed at midnight between 10:30 and 11, breathe in some lavender and take your herbs again. But lavender is not so popular in America to take internally. And lavender is wonderful internally. It actually is a nice tasting tea, a little strange. I like it best in tincture form, but you could mix rose and lavender together. It's for anxiety and stress, but one of the best things about this herb, lavender, is it helps when you feel stuck. Should I stay or should I go? Should I take this job or should I leave this job? Should I move or should I not move? What should I do? You're torn. You don't know what to do. They say drinking lavender tea will help push you in the direction that you need to go. So this is a phenomenal herb to know about. So let's give a summation of what we've spoken about. We've spoken about more than these things. So it's important during calm times to work on your cortisol levels. We don't need your cortisol levels being high, but it's during the calm time, not during the freak out time. We're going to take walks. We're going to learn how to deep breathe. We're going to read a book. We're going to shut off our phone. I know we shut it off for Shabbos, but sometimes during the week, just shut it off for an hour, because that'll help lower your cortisol levels also. Do random acts of kindness, even if you're in a bad mood. Why not? Just do it. Just make yourself do nice things, even if you're not in the mood. You got to practice smiling. Think about that, facelift. Oh my gosh, it's probably also good for the cheeks to get used to being in an upward position. I want you to laugh, even if nothing's funny, just force yourself to laugh. I want you to add colors to your life. You can get a ring. Oh, I don't have any rings right now. You can get a ring with a beautiful stone, a purple stone, an orange stone, a green stone. And every time you look at it, it will make you feel better. I want you to consume more oils, because oils are vital to the brain, not like mayonnaise oil, not like chicken fat. We're talking fish oils, avocado oil, sesame oil, olive oil. I want you to think about the 360 environment. Sometimes you can go through an entire day and you accomplish a lot. And if someone said, "What did you do today?" You'd be like, I did a lot. You did a lot of what? I don't know. I was just busy all day. Where'd you go? To the store? You want to say, I went to the store, there were 7 windows, there were 3 exits, the floor was this weird, ugly color green, the walls definitely needed a painting, but there was 2 really nice checkout people, right? Become alert, because otherwise the whole week can pass and we live in a blur. Are we doing what we need to do? Of course, we're doing for our kids, we're doing for our grandkids, we're doing for our spouses, we're doing for our neighbors, but it becomes a blur. The way to get rid of brain fog, to keep your brain concentration, is to be alert and aware 360 and use herbs, because herbs are our gift. Again, Hashem says that he gave grass for the cattle and herbs for the service of man. This is our gift. You can grow them on your fire escape if you live in Brooklyn. You can grow them in your garden. You can grow them on your windowsill. And I always tell people, if you fall in love with herbs, this is a guarantee. The herbs will love you back. So here I am. We're going to open up for questions in a minute, reminding you about my book, Moodtopia. And I wanted to show you, I don't even know, Devora, if you know, my book has been translated into Chinese,
Oh, wow.
which is amazing. But I wouldn't read the one in China because I read the one in English. But that was really an exciting thing. I'm trying to get it translated into Hebrew. I'm actually talking with a publisher right now so we can distribute it in Israel. But if you want to join me on Instagram, it's Sara Chana S, and I put up 2 or 3 times a week little 1-minute videos about herbs. You don't have to hear me talk for an hour. It's 1 minute on rhodiola, lemon balm, boom, 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 and I show you the herbs. I do a lot of walking around neighborhoods showing you also. That's my phone number. Please don't call me, only text me or WhatsApp me, because I'm too busy to answer my phone. And you can always email me at moodtopiabook@gmail.com. And before we open up, I want to thank Devora. Devora is one of the most powerful, influential women I know, from baseball to Shalom Bayis to now us slightly over age 40. I have observed Devora's work from the second I moved into Crown Heights. And before I knew her, I was like, who's this Devora? Wow, she's always doing amazing things for the community. So I want to give a loud Yasher Koyach and thank her for that. And Devora, let's open it up for questions.
Well, firstly, thank you, Sara Chana. I learned so much. I'm going to have to do this, it's like slow it down and watch it again. So thank you for just sharing this. We do have several questions that came in, and I'll just kind of do them in the order that they came. We were at the point that you were talking about, like, heart and other thing. Someone asked a question about cholesterol. Is there anything in the natural for cholesterol?
So Devora, down the line, let's do just a physical, and we can go organ by organ as we age. So cholesterol is very, very controversial. As I said, clinical studies show that when you take statins and lower your cholesterol, you still have the same risk, God forbid, of a heart attack. Cholesterol, especially for Ashkenazi Jews, tend to be higher, and we get them because we lived in the Eastern Bloc where there wasn't a lot of sun. I'm not so concerned about high cholesterol. I want your good cholesterol to go up. So when I work with a client, we don't work as much about lowering the bad cholesterol. We work about bringing up the good cholesterol, which is exercise, meditating, lowering our cortisol levels, and eating good fats. If you are there, tell you must go on cholesterol medicine, there is a supplement called red rice yeast, which I've really seen with my clients that their numbers come down to the levels where the doctor feels comfortable. And by Blue Bonnet, there's also a supplement called plant sterols. And those together, the plant sterols with the red rice yeast, really do help bring those numbers where doctors feel more comfortable.
And eventually get off the medicine altogether?
That you'd have to do with an herbalist. I don't, and I can't even legally suggest that anybody go off of medications. But we'd have to have a discussion and figure that out and see what the risks are.
Okay, then someone else writes, really amazing information. Thank you. Okay, now question. What is there for keeping periods in check? Are there any specific herbs for that?
So during perimenopause, your cycles are supposed to go a little Looney Tunes. It's just normal. There is an herb called chaste berry, which can help regulate herbs. I like it best in tincture or liquid form. And the typical dose, again, I don't know you or your history, is 25 drops 2 to 3 times a day. You have to take chaste over a long period of time. And usually after 3 months of taking it, you'll see that your periods become more regular. But if you have spotting and staining in between, then you need to meet with an herbalist and we can help figure that out. And herbs are very successful with that.
What about shepherd's purse?
So it's interesting. Like if a woman's period is too long, Devora, rather than giving shepherd's purse at the end to shorten it, I very often like the woman to bleed a little bit more on the first couple days rather than shorten at the end. I always mix my shepherd's purse with an herb called yarrow. I like yarrow even better for it, but shepherd's purse can come into the picture.
Do any of these herbs have any adverse reactions with medications?
I mean, again, yes, some can. That's why it's always best to read my book, Moodtopia, or work with an herbalist. But the herbs that I discussed, like motherwort, fine, skullcap, fine, lemon balm, fine, linden, fine, oats, fine, lavendar, fine, and rose, fine. Maybe valerian, I would question, maybe, but all the herbs we discussed today theoretically are safe.
Thank you. Go back to the roses. So is rose similar to rose water? And do they or are they non-GMO organic, or do they have to be?
So rose water is called a hydrosol, and a hydrosol, you know, I want to mention Devora, and I didn't make a slide on it, but I have 3 coupons for us that we can email out. Devora, do you have people's emails?
I have lots of emails, not necessarily from the participants, but we have
Not
lots
for
of
these.
emails. I know.
I should have made a slide on it. So herbalists and alchemists will give you 15% off. I have an essential oil, Jewish Israeli woman that makes her oils herself, and she will give us 10% off. And then we didn't talk a lot about turmeric, but I have another woman that will give us 15% off turmeric. Sorry that I didn't make a slide on that, Devora. We're gonna have to figure out how to, you know, maybe these people could give you your their phone numbers in the box, Devora.
You
and
can
then
send
we
me, if you want, you can send your contact, whether it's your email and or WhatsApp number, in the chat. Also, you can send me an email at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. Made myself a new email for this, and we could send it to you that way also.
That would be great, Devora, and maybe down the line we'll talk about it. Maybe we can make a WhatsApp group and then we can put these kinds of messages. But anyways, the reason I thought of that is because rose water is a hydrosol where they put the roses. It's very interesting. You have a pot of water and you have a pot inside, and then you have a glass with rose petals in it, and you put a cover on it upside down with ice on top. Very interesting. And you break down and you get the rose water. It's completely different. It's better for your face after you go to the gym, and it's good in cookies. But I'm talking about taking the plant rose, actually putting it in a cup. And yes, if you can get organic rose petals, of course, that's best. Here I've got some organic rose petals right here, and you would use this in your tea. So if you can get organic, not GMO, I don't think GMO is a problem with roses, but organic, not sprayed, would be best. All roses are edible, not the ones from that you get at your florist, but if you're out and about in the woods, all roses are edible. Okay,
cool. What do you think of melatonin?
I love it. One of my favorite nutritionists, her name is Dr. I have the book in the other room. She wrote the Fat Flush Plan. It'll come to me. She talks about the importance of melatonin as you age. She feels that melatonin is extraordinarily beneficial. She says when you get past 40, 45, or 50, 55, or 60, 65, and you have trouble sleeping, she highly recommends that you take melatonin to have a deeper sleep. So I think once you get past your childbearing years, I think melatonin is a great gift. I don't have any problems with it. I don't love it with children unless you're flying from New York York to Australia, LA to Australia, then I think it's a great idea. And occasionally, if you're going through a time where your kids are not sleeping well because of different holidays or simchas, but no, I wouldn't take it regularly when you're younger, but I would when you're older, every night.
And how close to sleep? Like, so you were mentioning earlier that at least an hour before. So what about melatonin?
Well, there's two types of melatonin. One is a time released, and the other one I like best is a sublingual. So usually people, especially adults, can go up to 20 milligrams of melatonin, not 1, not 3. They usually don't feel the effects of it. So you can do like a 5 milligram, now I'm talking about 15 milligrams, a 5 milligram of slow acting melatonin to help you sleep through the night. And then you can take a fast acting melatonin, 2 sublingual. So that's 15 milligrams. You can see if that works for you. So usually one of my teachers said that that's the best way to take melatonin, and you want to take it about a half an hour before you want to go to sleep.
Okay. Will these herbs affect the menstrual cycle?
Well, only in a positive way, not in a negative way. I mean, we could do a whole series on just menstrual cycles and talk about the herbs specific for that. But once you lower your cortisol levels, your stress hormones, and you feel a little more in control of this crazy world of chaos, then that will also help stabilize your cycles. But remember, perimenopause and menopause is the time of flooding, which we want to avoid. That's bleeding too much. It's a time of staining, and we want to try to avoid too much staining. And it's a time of erratic cycles, and that we can get a little bit of a handle on.
Is it beneficial to ingest the herbs, or is it enough to smell or spray it?
So we can do another class on essential oils, but with these plants, you need to ingest them. Just like you see a cucumber, you need to ingest this cucumber, right? You want strawberries, you need to ingest it. Parsley, you need to ingest it. These herbs, you need to ingest them.
Okay, so the question about herbs that help us fall asleep, I think we covered that. What about celery seeds for women in the early 40s who'd like to have children and have an endometrial polyp?
Well, an endometrial polyp can be removed, and very often it is suggested that it is removed. I don't know that celery seed is going to work for that. And I would probably use some homeopathy with that to have the body help reabsorb the polyp if you don't want to get it removed. But celery seed would not be my first choice. Chasteberry would be more of a choice. And I have another herb called Chinese peony that we use. Celery seed, I use a lot with gout and gout pain, but not for me. I don't use it with fertility.
The other thing she said, celery seeds and then a raspberry leaf tea.
So raspberry leaf tea doesn't really help with fertility. It's got this very strange reputation in the States. It's really a uterine toner. So if you have a prolapsed uterus, it'll help bring up the uterus, prolapsed bladder, prolapsed uterus, but it's very, very drying. So if you have any dryness vaginally, raspberry leaf will not be your herb of choice. And it's an astringent. So if you have a cold, you can drink a cup of raspberry leaf tea, but it's very drying to the system.
Okay, so going back to melatonin, so no melatonin for childbearing years. Is that what you said?
No. That's fine. I'm saying, like, I was speaking more with kids. When kids are young, only if you're traveling. Teenagers, I don't want them to feel like their body has to get addicted to it. During childbearing years, yes, you can definitely take it. It's not recommended during pregnancy, but you can take it if you are kids are just, you're not letting you sleep. But I'm saying it's especially beneficial once you get past the childbearing years. But yeah, you can take it during your childbearing years. Of course you can.
Okay. We have a few questions about egg freezing, and I think that's too personal. I think they can reach out to you.
They can reach out to me. So here's the bottom line. In the world, sometimes women don't get married till they're 35 or 38. We see all these big actresses having babies when they're older. Freezing your eggs is challenging. It's hard. It's painful. I'm seeing, thank God, that a lot of girls that are getting older, even not till 38, they're having babies. So if you're really panicking about it, then I say go ahead and do it. But I don't think that someone should be bullied or pressured into it. That's what I think the most important thing is.
Okay. Back to the pregnancy. Herbs are okay during pregnancy?
So the only herb that we discussed that is theoretically not supposed to be used during pregnancy. I love that we have some young ladies here also,
Or for
because
their
one day
kids?
oh, for their kids, I was going to say, because one day everybody turns around and they're in their 40s. So all these herbs are great. Motherwort is the only herb that is not suggested during pregnancy, but skullcap, lemon balm, linden, oats, valerian, they're all safe while pregnant.
Okay. And anything for vaginal dryness? Like, we know what
Yeah,
not to do.
so yeah, so you really need to include oils in your life, and you're not the candidate to be drinking red raspberry leaf tea. So I like flaxseed oil, evening primrose oil, borage oil, sesame oil, all these oils inside. And you can take some evening primrose oil, you take the little capsule, poke it, and put it in vaginally so you can make that area less dry. We do use it to help women go into labor, but you can do it when you're not going into labor. And sometimes a little estrogen cream does help. I mean, it's real controversial, estrogen cream. I don't want to not throw that out. But oils and evening primrose oil vaginally is what I would suggest. And make sure you don't have a vaginal yeast infection, because when you have a yeast infection, you can be dry and itchy and think it's just dryness, and sometimes treating for a yeast infection will help that get better.
Okay, so the person who's been asking about the fertility and egg freezing, I think you should reach out to Sara Chana directly, because it's a very, I think I'm imagining that there's going to be more specific questions to you. So Sara Chana, could she reach out to you?
Sure, no problem. Best to send me a WhatsApp message or a text and include your question that way.
Okay,
it's very popular. People are, young women are doing it all the time, and there's good and bad to it. It's a hard topic.
Okay, last question that came in, and I think that we'll wrap it up here. And I hope that we do continue this conversation, because there's so much. I'm like, so
much.
Yes. I love your little tinctures that we've had that you've given me in the past, and I feel like they really have made a difference. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I also love that you give it to me in smaller than 3 ounces so that I could take it on the plane. So
yeah, for sure. Very important. Yes.
You don't want them to be taken away.
Yeah, no way. Not herbs.
No. Okay. Last question. What to do for a torn meniscus? Is there anything?
Surgery is great. Surgery is great for it. There is an herb called comfrey leaf, COMFRY leaf, not the root. And you can take that in tea form, and a cup of that a day tends to help quite a bit. But I want to mention one other thing. There's a therapy out now that I'm in love with. It's called PRP. It's platelet rich. What's the last P there? Platelet rich injections, but that's not an I. So what they do, and I think it's phenomenal, brilliant, and genius. They take out some of your blood, they spin it, they get separate the platelets, and they take an injection of your platelets back in the meniscus. And I can tell you that it's taking your own blood, your own platelets, and it is phenomenal. My clients are so happy with it. Insurance does not cover it. One shot is between $600 and $800. That's a lot of money, but I feel it's better than spending money on PT. And I find that it really, really works. So you can speak to a sports medicine doctor. If you're in the New York area, I have a phenomenal one at NYU. And I think that's one of the best therapies out there. Yes, it's an injection, but wow, it's with your own blood and your own medicine. And I'm very impressed with it.
Okay, I'm going to put one more question in because I think it's very relevant to our vaginal dryness. So you were talking about oil. So when in the day, how much? And you did mention which type, but if you put that all back onto one conversation.
So evening primrose oil, you can put one in the evening because it will drip. and you don't want it on your undies during the day. And remember, you take the capsule and you put a couple little pinholes in it so that it just breaks down. You can put it all the way up to the cervix and let it be in there when you're sleeping. And oils internally, flaxseed oil, all the oils that I talked about by the tablespoon. I mean, I'm so busy and overwhelmed. I just go in my kitchen, put flaxseed down it. It's kind of disgusting. And then I move on with my life. So more oils, because we dry out. We need lotion for our hands. We need lotion for our face, and we need lotion for our vaginal canal.
All right. Thank you. So there's some other questions that came in. I'm saving them for next time.
Okay. Thank you so much, ladies that are joining us currently, and ladies that are watching the video recording down the line. And I look forward to having another event with you. And thank you so much, Devora.
All right, thank you. So everyone, Sara Chana's email is on the screen. And if you have any questions for me or at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. We also have the new Facebook group, which is called Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. And you can join us there we'll have all kinds of conversations about other things about midlife, as far as health, and also the changing roles and responsibilities and priorities, and how to navigate all that. So we'll be having lots of other Zooms and conversations and just chatting on the Facebook group. So join us there too. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sara Chana, and good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.